Airbnb just reported their latest earnings report and a guidance, both pretty strong. Now, there are some things that I need to explain throughout this video because of some one-time charges, which impacted net income. But they also announced something quite positive, which is a $6 billion share buyback program, which is about 6.5% of the company right now. Now, I know I'm already hearing some Tesla shareholders saying, if Airbnb can buy back $6 billion of their own shares, why can't Tesla announce their own share buyback program? Good question. Now, at the time of making this video, the stock went up 5-6%. Now we're basically flat. Okay, the stock will do what the stock will do. Now let's jump right into this. So I first want to start with the little explanation here. So Q4 net loss was $349 million, including non-recurring tax items. So they say here, in Q4 2023, net loss included non-recurring tax withholding expenses and lodging tax reserve of approximately $1 billion. Adjusted net income was $489 million compared to $319 million of net income in Q4 2022. Now, if you exclude these expenses, adjusted net income was $489 million compared to $319 million of net income in Q4 2022. Moving on to free cash flow for this quarter, this was just $46 million. Again, these are including the non-recurring tax items. But for the full year, free cash flow was $3.80 billion, including the tax items, representing a free cash flow margin of 39%. Now, with regards to the share buybacks, in Q4, they repurchased around $750 million worth of shares. Our strong cash flow enabled us to repurchase $750 million of Class A common stock in Q4. Share repurchases during the full year of 2023 totaled $2.25 billion, and they have reduced their fully diluted share count to 676 million. As of December 31st, 2023, they had $750 million remaining under the prior program, and today they're announcing a new share buyback program with authorization to purchase up to $6 billion of our Class A common stock. It's a pretty big deal, especially for a company like Airbnb, which is still in growth mode, but it just shows you the confidence that management has. It just shows you how strong and profitable this company actually is. Now, before continuing, if you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, would really appreciate that. If you want to support me even further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment to get the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. Thank you very much. All right, Q4 and fiscal year 2023 business and financial performance. Nights and experience booked reached 98.8 million. That's up 12% year over year and 30% year over 4 years, giving you basically the performance right before the pandemic. As for gross booking value, or GBV, that reached $15.5 billion, up 15% year over year. Then for the full year, nights and experience booked reached 448.2 million, up 14% year over year, and GBV was up 16% to $73.3 billion. Now, how long are people staying in their Airbnbs? Well, the number here continues to surprise me actually. So as of Q4 2023, roughly a quarter of our nights booked for long-term stays were for trips duration of 3 months or longer, with nights booked for trips over 3 months increasing approximately 20% year over year. They say here that long-term stays of 28 days accounted for 19% of gross nights booked. That's up slightly from the 18% level they've seen in Q3. As for ADR, or average daily rate, that was $157 in Q4, representing a 3% increase from the same quarter last year. So yes, not that cheap in my opinion. As for supply, I think a year or so ago, this was one of the bear points that some analysts had. But here, yet again, they're proving that wrong. We ended Q4 2023 with our highest number of active listings yet. Active listings grew 18% in Q4 compared to 1 year ago. Now, there was also some other, let's say, bearish aspects, maybe not bearish, but red flag or orange flags, let's call it, in which regards to regulation. So they say here, as of December 31st, 2023, we collected and remitted more than $10 billion in tourism-related taxes to local governments on behalf of our global host community. Overall, we believe in transparent and equitable regulation, and as of December 31st, 2023, approximately 80% of our top 200 markets had some form of regulation in place. And again here, with regards to the New York regulation, prior to September, New York represented approximately just 1% of Airbnb's global revenue, and currently no one city accounts for more than 2% of Airbnb's revenue on a global basis. Basically, they are pretty safe no matter what. Moving on here, revenue that increased 17% year over year to $2.2 billion. Net income, a loss for this quarter, we already explained why. Adjusted EBITDA, $738 million. Net cash provided by operating activities, $63 million. And then free cash flow, we talked about that as well. As for the full year, again, a tremendous year for Airbnb. And this is despite having quite a tough year-over-year comparisons. Of course, being a global brand does help a lot. Last couple of things here. As you can see in the last couple of years, shares outstanding have been coming down despite them issuing quite a lot of SBCs, as you will see in the Outlook right now. First up, of course, balance sheet. As of the end of 2023, they had $10.1 billion in cash and cash equivalents, short-term investments, and restricted cash. They also had $5.9 billion of funds held on behalf of guests as of December 31st, 2023. Of course, they can make money on that. Then again, the $6 billion worth of share repurchases. I do hope that the share does come down a little bit so that it can buy a bit more. Now moving on to the outlook here, they already tell us that they started 2024 pretty strong with more than 6 million guests welcoming the new year in an Airbnb. For Q1 2024, they expect to deliver revenue of just over $2 billion, which represents year-over-year growth between 12 to 14%. They say here year-over-year revenue growth in Q1 will benefit due to the timing of Easter between 1 and 2 percentage points at the expense of year-over-year growth in Q4 2024. They continue by saying here, due to particularly strong growth in Q1, 19%, impacting year-over-year comparison, we expect the growth rate of nights booked in Q1 2024 to moderate relatively to Q4 2023, which is basically this earnings report. We expect ADR for the quarter to be flat to slightly up compared to Q1 2023. They then say here that since their IPO in 2020, they have generated over $9 billion of free cash flow and dramatically improved their profitability. That's an understatement. Then here by saying, for the full year of 2024, we expect to maintain an adjusted EBITDA margin of at least 35%, providing us flexibility to invest in incremental growth opportunities over the course of the year. And of course, with regards to Airbnb, right now, by the way, the stock is down 3%, so quite a roller coaster ride after hours. But with Airbnb, it is again one of those companies that will never be or never look as cheap as other companies. I've talked about this with Adrian, with the trade desk. Some of the companies will always have a premium, and sometimes they just will be a bit less expensive. And so right now, if we look at the chart, we can see that, well, this area that we've been before the earnings report was a previous resistance point. It does seem like we are getting a bit more pressure right now after the market closes. But okay, overall, if you look at the longer term picture here, we did make higher lows, which is always bullish. RSI is a bit high, but nothing to be scared of. If we look at the moving averages, the 200-day one sits at 132, 133. The 50-day moving one sits at 141, and the 20-day moving one, 145. Maybe we will revisit that tomorrow. Remains to be seen. Overall, strong report, strong guidance, good share buyback program. If the stock does drop lower, they now have the authorization to buy back even more shares. Always great. So that will be it for this video. Of course, do share your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.